Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you are doing well. And it's time to take a look at what the Seahawks are doing with their top 30 visits. First of all, real quick, let's talk about what a top 30 visit is. Basically, in the month before the draft, basically after the combine and before the draft, each NFL team is allowed to bring some college prospects into their team facilities for a interview, meetings, and physical. It can be any players, but they only get 30 visits, hence top 30. So every team gets the opportunity to have a up close and personal encounter with 30 college prospects. So this is, generally speaking, a good opportunity to get an idea of which players a certain team is keyed up on. Which players does a team really have in their crosshairs? So far, the Seahawks have utilized 10 of their 30 visits. They've had 10 players in officially. There are occasionally rumors that go out there, and sometimes they get confirmed, sometimes they don't. Like, apparently there was a rumor, to my knowledge, it has not yet been confirmed, that we met with Jalen Carter last night. So that would be another top 30 visit, of course. But as to my knowledge, as of right now, these 10 are the official ones. So we've used a third of our top 30 visits. And let's take a look at these guys. So basically, you can separate these guys into three groups. The first group would be offensive line. We've visited, or, well, had 4 offensive linemen in for a visit with us. The first is DeJuan Jones, the right tackle from Ohio State, which that one I don't really get because he's a pure right tackle. I don't see him playing guard in the NFL, and I see him belonging in a gap power system. So unless we have some galaxy brain plan to move him to the interior, I don't know what's going on here. He's a beast. Don't get me wrong. He's like 6'7", 370 pounds. There's stuff to like, don't get me wrong, but I don't know why we need a tackle. And I was trying to look at it from the perspective of like, okay, what if we move him to guard? I don't get the sense that would work that well. So we had him in. The other offensive lineman, Braden Daniels, who I actually talked about on this channel a handful of days ago. I really like him. I think he'd be a really good left guard for our system. And then you had Jordan McFadden of Clemson and Anthony Bradford of LSU. I don't know too much about those two guys yet. I haven't really dug too deep into them. I get the sense they wouldn't be great scheme fits, but they seem to be decent enough players. So that's basically what I have about those guys. So those are the 4 linemen. The second group that we had in so far would be the safeties. We've had 3 safeties in for visits. Jamie Robinson from Florida State, Jordan Howden from Minnesota, and Jarek Reed II from New Mexico. Now, I looked a little bit into these 3 guys, and I actually like all 3 of them. They all bring positive things to the table. They all bring interesting things to the table. I'm going to have to deep dive a little further into them as this process goes on, especially now that I know the Seahawks are looking at them in particular. But obviously, there seems to be at least a consideration of drafting a safety after the release of Ryan Neal. And look, this is not a bad safety class. There are some good safeties in here. This seems like a pretty good defensive back class in general, actually. So having to go to the draft to replace a Ryan Neal is not the worst thing. However, as you can see, the expenditures add up. Now we spend a draft pick on a safety. That's one less draft pick to address the other needs. So you release Ryan Neal, save a little bit of money, but you create another need you now have to spend a draft pick on, which means that's one less draft pick you can spend on other needs. So I get it from both sides, I do. But look, there's no safety you're going to get in this draft who is going to, as a rookie, be better than Ryan Neal was. Not even if you got Brian Branch as a rookie. I don't think Brian Branch would be as good as Ryan Neal should be this year based off how he was last year. Ryan Neal was really an excellent player for us last year. No rookie's going to match that. So, I don't know. Still not thrilled with that whole situation. But we are looking at safeties in this draft. The third group would be the edge rushers. And we had the opportunity to talk about edge rushers on the Hawks Nest channel last night for like 2 hours. And I'm going to be looking at edge rushers a lot on my channel for the coming several days. I think, yeah, I think edge rusher actually starts on this weekend. So we're going to be deep diving into these guys soon. But the three guys we've had in are Byron Young from Tennessee, Yaya Diaby from Louisville, and Adetomiwa Adebawore from Northwestern. Now, I don't want to step on my videos that I'm going to be making on these guys in future weeks, or actually future days now. Byron Young, I have mixed thoughts on. There are some things that are great and some things that are really kind of off-putting. Yaya is a very interesting day 3 prospect. I would take him maybe in the 4th round. And Adebawore, I like him a lot. I don't think he's going to be an edge in a 3-4. I think he's going to be an inside lineman, like a 3-4 end. So I like the fact that we're looking at these guys for sure, but I don't know how we see them. But those are the 10 guys we've looked at so far. We still have 20 more visits. You can kind of see where the priorities of this team may line up. We're looking for offensive line help. We're looking for edge help, looking for safety help. Still plenty of time for us to look for help in other areas. Now, if you want to get an idea of what a top 30 visit might mean in the big picture in terms of like the meaningful part, at the end of the day, right, you can visit with as many players as you want to, but it only matters if you end up taking the player. If you go back to last year, the top 30 visits that the Seahawks used on players included Shamarius Gilmore, who we did end up picking up in UDFA, Cole Strange, Sauce Gardner, Desmond Ridder, Rasheed Walker, Kalen Barnes, Percy Butler, who was also, I believe, a UDFA pickup for the Seahawks at one point, if I recall correctly. Cade Otton, local guy. Armani Rogers, Samori Torre, Traylon Burks, Michael Clemens, Abe Lucas. So here's one. Okay, we definitely ended up with Abe Lucas. Max Borghi, Abram Smith, Isaiah Spiller, Damian Pierce, Leonard Johnson, Drake Jackson, Logan Hall, Arnold Ebiketie, Matt Corral, Darian Beavers, Cameron Taylor-Britt, Christian Watson, Derek Young. Okay, there's another one. Definitely somebody that we ended up with in the end of the draft. Cameron Good, Deontay Williams, Kyle Hamilton, Ty Chandler. So, obviously, we ended up picking a lot of players we didn't use a top 30 visit on. However, one thing to keep in mind is that sometimes you can meet with a player without necessarily using a top 30 visit on them. You can meet with them at the Combine, as an example, and that doesn't really count as a top 30 visit. I think at the Combine we visited with, at least off the top of my head, Anthony Richardson, so you wouldn't necessarily need to use a top 30 visit on him because you've already met with him. So, you can learn some stuff. Odds are very good that at least a few of the players that we meet with during this process are going to end up as Seahawks, especially when you look at some of these guys who may not even get drafted. There are going to be guys we meet with who are not even looked at as draftable players. Like, I haven't seen Jarek Reed on very many big boards. Very good chance he goes undrafted right now, at least as near as I can tell. When I have a better look at the safety big boards, maybe I'll feel differently. But as of right now, I don't think you're going to have to make a massive expenditure to bring him in. So, yeah, definitely going to end up with some of these guys on the team. Just how many? All right, so that's the status of the top 30 visits. We have 20 more to go, but you can see the priorities of this team based off what they have so far. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Maybe another video coming later today. Everyone have a good rest of your Friday.